Hey, what's up guys, it's Darius, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge versus the Nexus 6P. The Nexus 6P probably was the best phone of 2015. The Samsung Galaxy S6 last year was an amazing phone with just a couple of flaws. Samsung fixed most of these problems with the S7 and it has the potential for being the best phone out there. Well, let's find out which one's better, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge or the Nexus 6P. Design-wise, they take a very different approach. The Nexus 6P is a little larger and is made from aluminium with a cool to the touch feel, and the S7 Edge looks a lot more elegant and premium. It is made from metal and glass, and of course, the S7 Edge also has curved edges on both sides. It does come down to personal taste, but I much prefer the S7 Edge. However, there are a couple of key differences. The S7 has a micro USB port, while the 6P has a Type-C one. The buttons on both of them are great, and which positioning you prefer is up to you. The headphone jack is on the bottom on the S7 and on the top on the 6P. They both have a fingerprint scanner, the 6P one on the back and the S7 on the front. They're more or less equally fast, but I do prefer the placement on the S7. One thing I didn't really like on the 6P was the huge ugly camera hump. The S7 has a very small one, and next to it there's also a heart rate monitor. The in-hand feel is better with the S7 since it is a little smaller and has a curved back which really fits my hand. But sadly, it is also a lot more slippery and it is a huge fingerprint magnet. The 6P has both of these problems also, but it's not too bad. A big difference are the features that are now back with the S7, being the IP68 water and dust resistance and the addition of a microSD card slot, which is really awesome. The 6P doesn't have any of that. Another huge difference is the speaker. The S7 speaker is bottom facing and is pretty bad. The 6P on the other hand has dual front facing stereo speakers which sound much better. But it also has very large bezels on top and bottom which makes the phone very big. On the front they also both have gorgeous displays. The 6P has a great panel, a 5.7 inch Quad HD AMOLED one. The S7 Edge has a 5.5 inch also Quad HD Super AMOLED panel, and it's hands down the best display out there. Don't get me wrong, the 6P screen is really great, but the S7's is just killer. The colors pop on both of them, but a little more on the S7. Viewing angles are equally good, but the S7 gets a lot brighter. It also has an always on display where it shows the time or your calendar, but the same effect can be achieved on the 6P with an app. Specs wise, they both have the best out there. The 6P is Snapdragon 810, the Adreno 430, and 3GB of RAM. The S7 either comes with a Snapdragon 820 or the Exynos 8890, which I have, paired with either the Adreno or the equivalent Mali chip, and 4GB of RAM. In terms of benchmarks, the S7 destroys about every other phone out there, but in real life, they're equally fast thanks to stock Android on the 6P, which requires less specs. It runs the newest version of Android Marshmallow, being 6.0.1. It is just plain vanilla Android with some great new features like Now on Tap, Doze, and app permissions. It has some awesome animations, and like I said, it requires less specs, so it runs super smooth on the 6P. The S7 on the other hand is also running 6.0.1, but with Samsung's UI on top of it. It is basically TouchWiz, but it's no longer called that. It is the best and lightest version of it yet. It also has new Marshmallow features like Now on Tap and app permissions, but it lacks Doze. Furthermore, it has some very awesome features. My favorites include a long screenshot, double press the home button to launch the camera, and of course the Edge also has some special features like People Edge, Apps Edge, and some other quick tools and app shortcuts. There are still a couple of things I don't like, for example not being able to move the app drawer, or it still has some bloatware pre-installed, but it can be disabled. Most of the issues can be fixed with a launcher or an icon pack. They both are fast. The 6P is slightly faster, but it also has less features. You might not have liked TouchWiz, but it really is a lot better now, and things like the RAM management were fixed, so really try it out. It is pretty good now. In terms of cameras, Samsung always had amazing cameras on their phones, and the S7 is no exception. It has the best camera on any smartphone out there, but not by much. Nexus cameras used to be terrible, but they no longer are, and the 6P's comes very close to the S7's camera. In fact, I just did a whole video on that where I compare both of them with the Sony ARX100. Link is down below if you want to check that out. They both have 12 megapixel cameras, but the main differences are that the 6P has a larger sensor and pixels, comes with laser autofocus but lacks OIS. The S7 has a wider aperture at f1.7 versus f2.0 on the 6P. that has OIS and a new dual pixel autofocus, which is insanely fast. Battery wise, the 6P has a 3450 mAh battery and the S7 a larger 3600 mAh one. Both have very good battery life, well over average, and both last me through every day. With the 6P I got an average of 5 hours of screen on time, which is very good, but on the S7 Edge it was awesome. I got about 6 hours of screen on time. Both also come with quick charging, and the S7 with wireless charging, which the 6P doesn't have. Overall, both are amazing phones and I'm happy with both of them. I personally prefer the S7 Edge, and I'd say it's overall a better phone, but it's also newer, so that makes sense. But the 6P is by no means bad, it just isn't as good as the S7, but it's very close. Of course, the 6P is also less expensive, but in the end it comes down to personal preference. If you want to buy any of the phones, I will have links in the description, make sure to use them, it would really help me out. If you want to know more about the 6P, I will have my review of it down below, and make sure to stay tuned for my S7 Edge review. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye.